Ladies and gentlemen, when it comes to this tacit understanding between Pakistan and Taliban, there is very little to put into perspective. But somewhere down the line, Pakistan appears to be continuing with their nudge-nudge, wink-wink approach, and a quid pro quo arrangement has been done with the Taliban. Joining me on this broadcast is Senator Walid Iqbal, spokesperson of Government of Pakistan and ruling party PTI, joining us live from Lahore. Senator Iqbal, let's admit tonight on national television that Pakistan has a clear understanding with the Taliban, a direct relationship with Taliban. This nudge-nudge, wink-wink approach should be thrown out of the window.
Why admit anything of the sort? Pakistan's position and this government's position has throughout been absolutely clear. And this is even before Prime Minister Imran Khan was the Prime Minister of the country, that there is no military solution. And he always advocated that even in the opposition, when he had only one seat in Pakistan's National Assembly, the lower house of parliament, right through the Obama presidency, and then, of course, sitting with the President of the United States, Donald Trump, in the White House, there being no military solution. Now, the kind of nexus that you're talking about, or what you are saying, that let's admit the government of Pakistan or the people of Pakistan had nothing to do with the so-called 325,000 national defense forces of Afghanistan falling like a house of cards, and there being absolutely no
who's responsible
resistance.
for it, Senator Walid Iqbal? Senator Walid Iqbal, I would like to interrupt you here. The reason being, somewhere down the line, you do not want to give me a direct answer. And let me put out something on perspective. Let me put out something that is on record. This is what your leader had to say. And can you deny this? Because this is what your Prime Minister had to say. I tried to persuade the Taliban 3 to 4 months back when they came here. The condition is that as long as Ashraf Ghani is there, we, Taliban, are not going to talk to the Afghan government. That's the stand. That's the position of your leader. Your leader wants to have a direct talk with the Taliban.
There is nothing of that sort in this statement. The statement and every other statement of the Prime Minister of Pakistan, the present Prime Minister of Pakistan, has been in favor of and in support of a negotiated political settlement, and it continues to be so, that there has to be a broad-based and an inclusive government in Afghanistan, which has to do solely and purely reflect the wishes of the Afghan people, and totally, and whatever, as it has been described in every journal in the world, West, East, everywhere, that the kind of a lightning speed with which the Taliban exercised or gained control over their entire country, is that there should be no accession to power with the use of force and
Senator Walid
violence.
Iqbal, can you please give me a direct answer? Senator Walid Iqbal, can you please give me a direct answer to my specific question? Senator Walid Iqbal, give me a direct answer. Are you or are you not in bed with the Taliban? Are you not in bed with Taliban? Because somewhere down the line, the images that have been doing the round, we have already heard what your foreign minister had to say. Your foreign minister comes up with one after the other bizarre statements, and then somewhere down the line, you are supporting. Admit it, you are supporting Taliban. And on this broadcast, I also have Major Gaurav Arya, a consulting editor, joining us. Senator Walid Iqbal, admit it. There is enough proof now, which basically goes on to indicate the complicity of the Pakistan government with that of Taliban.
Absolutely out of question. There is no admission of any sort in terms of acknowledging or expressing any kind of involvement.
So let me put out some proof.
Of Pakistan.
Let me put out some proof. Senator Walid Iqbal, let me put out some proof, then keep denying it. On 16th of August, your Prime Minister, this is what your Prime Minister had to say: shackles of slavery have been broken in Afghanistan. Now tell me, Tell me, Senator Walid Iqbal, what shackles of slavery have been broken when Afghanistan's mothers aren't left with any choice to toss their young at the airport? You've seen those images, heart-wrenching images. What shackles of slavery have been broken by the Taliban?
Well, let me explain that to you. The shackles of slavery, meaning anybody coming from outside and trying to impose a system of governance on Afghanistan, a process which had trillions of dollars expended on it, a process where 241,000 lives were lost, in which Pakistan itself underwent 80,000 casualties and incurred losses of $150 billion. I mean, that is what the Prime Minister was referring to. Any imposition from outside, anything which denies a right of self-determination to the people of Afghanistan was bound to fail. And he was saying it for years, perhaps even decades, that this is not the kind of a method or a military solution which will solve and bring peace and stability to this region. Pakistan had nothing to do.
Senator Walid Iqbal, what is the solution? What you're seeing right now on the screens, I'll also put out. Senator Walid Iqbal, let me do something. You will keep denying it because that's how it will go on. So I'll ask my producers also to put out those images, those horrific images, the gory details. Senator Walid Iqbal, look right now what is happening in Kabul. Look at the gunshots. Look at what is really happening on the streets of Kabul right now. Are you really saying that this is the solution? This is the way ahead in Afghanistan? Look at those images. Look at these women who are crying. Look at those children. Are you still going to say that? For how long will you continue doing that? Look at these images and then tell me.
Let me just posit a question to you. Did Pakistan tell the Afghan forces to capitulate like the way they capitulated, that within 1 week or 10 days, practically the entire country went and Kabul fell without a single drop of blood? What you are showing, so far, we have not come across any incidents of violence on part of the Taliban. They want peace, they want stability. And if there could be renegade elements renegade elements in there. But
I don't understand what's your definition.
Armed forces capitulated. What Pakistan has got to do with it?
Okay.
Taliban
Senator Walid, I will put out 5 visuals. We'll take another couple of minutes to put out 5 visuals that Republic Media Network over the last 7 days we have put out some 5 visuals. We'll put out one by one, Senator Walid Iqbal. I'll put out and then say that Taliban is not responsible for what is happening in Kandahar. When one comedian was killed, Taliban had no role to play. I'll put out those images and look at the Taliban flag in your own country. Then tell me that I have nothing to do. I'll wash my hands off, Senator Walid Iqbal.
No,
I'll put out those images.
We have nothing to do. And if anything, if there are any acts of violence on part of any renegade elements, and even otherwise, for one image that you will show, for one footage you will show, I am not Republic TV, but I can show you 100 where there has been peace. Your own diplomats have been escorted and Taliban have waved to them, seen them through to the airport. Hundreds of people from the Indian embassy in Kabul have been escorted peacefully and with security by the Taliban to Kabul airport. And Pakistan government has been acting. It's issued 4,000 visas, Pakistani embassy in Kabul. Most of them, more than half of them, to personnel of NGOs, of IMF, of the World Bank.
Senator Walid Iqbal, there is a specific question that our consulting editor. There's a specific question that our consulting editor, Major Gaurav Arya, who's joining us on this broadcast, would also like to ask you.
I'm listening.
Major Gaurav Arya, go ahead and ask Senator Walid Iqbal your question.
Senator Walid Iqbal, clearly Prime Minister Imran Khan has said that, there is a freedom struggle which the Afghan Taliban has won and they have come out of the shackles of slavery. We've all heard that and I appreciate Imran Khan's comments. Now, why did Pakistan take money from the Americans and aid this slavery for 20 years? You see, all the materials, all the war materials went through Karachi port. Pakistan was paid immense amounts of money, billions of dollars by the Americans. Where did all this guns and equipment and weapon and manpower go through? They went through Karachi port. Of course, the manpower flew in directly to Kabul airport, but everything went through Ben Qasim port. if you are saying that shackles of slavery have been broken, zehni azadi ki baat kari thi Imran Khan ne. He spoke about zehni azadi. I want to ask you, why did Pakistan actually support America for 20 years? And second thing, when Shawan asked you that you are in bed with the Taliban, you said, no, sir, here is an image of the chief of ISI, General Faiz, offering namaz with the Taliban in Islamabad, sir. This is, and it has been tweeted by a verified Pakistani Twitter handle, a journalist. And sir, I would like to tell you this journalist's name, sir. His name is Mohammad Ibrahim Qazi. He has tweeted this today, 2.5 hours back, which shows General Faiz, your DG ISI, actually offering namaz with the top brass of the Taliban. Now, I want to ask you, sir, if this is actually slavery that has happened, and if Imran Khan is congratulating the people of Afghanistan for being free, and God bless them, if that is what your Prime Minister thinks, we are nobody to contradict, sir. But then why did you aid and abet this slavery for 20 years by taking money from the Americans?
Well, I can't speak for the governments that were in office before our government, but I can be very emphatic and very clear about what Prime Minister Imran Khan's position has been prior to when he was Prime Minister and what it is now. And he stated that very recently in Pakistan's National Assembly and addressing the government of the United States of America that we will be partners in peace, but we shall not be partners in any conflict. Now, as far as the image that you have shown of the head of the ISI offering prayers, and you saying this is an image of him offering prayers in Islamabad, of course, there have been many occasions that Pakistan has, at the request of the United States or at the prodding of the United States, facilitated, enabled dialogue between the Taliban and the United States of America. They may be in Qatar or Doha. They, in the process, if they may have passed through Pakistan, this may have on the occasion of Friday prayers.
Senator Walid Iqbal, my apologies for interrupting you, sir. But my question again is, in the second week of September last year, 2020, during COVID times, peak of COVID, sir, American military containers landed at Port Ben Qasim, sir. And Pakistan has been regularly receiving money, sir. During Imran Khan's time, substantial war materials have reached Afghanistan, the NATO forces, the American forces, through Pakistan, traveling all the way to Karachi, to the border, and then from there being taken by road or helicopter. I would like to ask you, sir, why did Imran Khan is almost completing 3 years in power, why did Imran Khan permit the use of American land and American airspace to, quote unquote, subjugate the Afghan people, sir? Because he's congratulating them on freedom. Why did he allow it? Last year, September, sir, I'm giving you the time. Last year, September, sir.
I don't have those details that you have, but I can say to you this much, that if, of course, it was when the Imran Khan government or PTI government took office in 2018, the US presence, the US involvement in Afghanistan was already for almost 2 decades a fait accompli. And Pakistan was always wanting to be and continues to be a facilitator for a peaceful and stable Afghanistan and a peaceful and stable region. And if Pakistan had its way, Pakistan would have wanted, I mean, look at the abrupt US withdrawal, and the Prime Minister has said the mess that the United States has left us in. Do you acknowledge that he said there is a mess that he has left us in?
Senator, absolutely. Senator, one last question before I hand over to Shawan. Shawan, with your permission, a small question. Senator, I just want to ask you, in 3 years in power,
go ahead.
In last 3 years in power, sir, has Imran Khan ever publicly said that the Afghan people have been subjugated? Has he criticized American presence by saying that they are a subjugating force? By using the words that they are a subjugating force, they are an enslaving force, has Imran Khan said it, sir? Publicly in front of the Americans. He went and he met Donald Trump, sir. He met so many American leaders. Has he said it?
The primary position is that there is no military solution, and that is where he has consistently been standing and in support of. And if the Pakistan government had its say, and if the US government had listened, we would have preferred a much more ordered and organized withdrawal, particularly one in which a political understanding between the Afghan government and the Taliban had been reached ahead of time. And the abrupt and disorganized withdrawal has caused this entire mess. But I think it's it's certainly a ray of light that, there has been a peaceful sort of takeover right now. And of course, right now it's a de facto government or de facto control of Afghanistan is with the Taliban. There is no issue of unilateral recognition. If the foreign minister of Pakistan is invited there, it is, of course, any de facto entity that controls a country would want. This is the largest frontier of 2,252 kilometers with Pakistan that they would want to invite their foreign minister. And they have made certain declarations which need to be seen now, whether there would be the Afghan system under the Taliban will be inclusive. That's what they're saying. There is a general amnesty. They are also saying that they will be recognizing the rights of women and the rights of minorities, and they will not be revengeful or anything of that sort.
Senator Walid Iqbal, at least I would like to thank you for one thing. I would like to thank you for one thing, that at least you have confirmed on national television that ISI Chief General Faiz actually had a meeting with Mullah Baradar, and the fact is that you are saying that this is the United States of America which has facilitated, but the fact of this matter still remains that
no, I have not made any such admission.
Actually helping the Taliban.
You have shown me some image. I have not made any such admission. You have shown some image which I have not seen before, and I can't say where it is and what it is, but I'm only saying that
it's already out, Senator.
Well, that may be the case, but
we have put it out. It's not us. It's a Pakistani journalist who's also put this out.
The United States of America has been constantly seeking United States has been seeking Pakistan's support in terms of facilitating parlays between the Taliban and the United States, which led to the agreement in Doha on the 29th of February 2020. For example, Mr. Haqqani was in custody under arrest in Pakistan. He was released and sent to Doha again because the United States called upon us to do so. So those are the circumstances. You can't just say that we are in bed and we are the ones who caused the capitulation of the Afghan armed forces, on whom billions of dollars were spent, and within a lightning offensive, Taliban took over the country. And
you can continue denying it, Senator Walid Iqbal. Thank you very much for joining us on this broadcast. Let me open up this debate. Joining us on this debate is Sardar R.P. Singh from the National Capital, Major Gaurav Arya, Major General Dhruv Katoch. On the other side, we also have Abdul Samad Yaqub joining us from Islamabad, Abid Abbasi, Hamid Khan, who's joining us from London. Let me straight away take this question first to Major Gaurav Arya and Abdul Samad Yaqub. Major Gaurav Arya, you've already heard what Senator Walid Iqbal had to say, but there is enough, ample amount of evidence. And also, what their foreign minister, Shah Mahmood Qureshi, what did he have to really say about the Taliban? That in itself gives us a clear indication of which way it is headed.
See, what does Taliban require today? It does not require Pakistan because it is directly in touch with China, Russia, India, and the United States, Tajikistan, Iran, Turkey, all the other countries. And nowhere has it asked for Pakistani help. What Taliban requires today is money to run the government, and clearly Pakistan is out of funds. But Pakistan has traditionally always looked at Afghanistan as its backyard. And now that is going to backfire because we have seen how, the Lal Masjid kids were singing songs. This will lead, and this is already led, this entire radicalization, which is happening in Pakistan. After General Ziaul Haq came to power and after, the rise of Taliban and the first jihad which happened in Afghanistan against the Soviet forces. This is a direct result of that, and the same story is continuing, Shavan. The same story is continuing. And they don't realize, the Pakistanis don't realize that they cannot be controlled.
That's exactly what I want to also ask Abdul Samad Yaqub. Abdul Samad Yaqub, whom are you really trying to fool? Because the fact of the matter is that your interior minister Sheikh Rashid Ahmed, has said that Imran Khan tried to get Ashraf Ghani to talk to the Taliban. You've always wanted to legitimize Taliban. You wanted to legitimize the atrocities of Taliban. Why don't you simply admit it?
Not the atrocities, but yes, this is the open secret that yes, we supported the Taliban. Always we supported. We were never in favor of military solution. And
supporting the Taliban. Supporting the Taliban. What does it really mean then? it means you're supporting the atrocities also.
Moral support.
Somewhere down the line, it is going to backfire for you. You know what is going to happen in your backyard. I'm not going to go there, but you know it very well. You are saying it's an open secret. You are admitting. Sardar RP Singh. Sardar RP Singh today. You have Abdul Samad Yaqub, spokesperson of the PTI, admitting that yes, we have a close relationship with the Taliban.
It's a moral
He's
support, not a
admitted.
military assistance.
No, even the Senator Walid Iqbal accepted it. I mean, it's a known fact. Why you signed out of it? I mean, why they signed out of it? The world knows it, that they're supporting Taliban.
That's
and
what
Taliban is sponsored, funded by, give me a second. Taliban is funded and sponsored by ISI. I mean, there's nothing hidden. But there is a reason behind it. And let me share with you why Shah Mohammad Qureshi is going there. Do you think Pakistan has a money to fund their army? No. The army is the biggest dealer of the opium in the world, the drug dealer in the world. The Pakistan ISA and army put together is the biggest opium dealer in the world. And Afghanistan, Pakistan and Iran. This was a triangle. And now Afghanistan will be led by people who will manage their opium on their own, and Pakistan will be out. Earlier, Pakistan used to manage their opium, and they used to fund Afghanistan, Taliban, and in return, they used to get money to run their army. Well, that's the actual issue. And economically, Pakistan is holding a beggar's ball in front of the world.
Abdul,
but actually,
supported are defeated.
Abid Abbasi.
Sir, I showed you the mirror, sir.
So
you are supported it.
Can you deny
Abid Abbasi.
Opium in Afghanistan was sold by Pakistan to the world.
Now there is a picture. Abid Abbasi, there is a picture of a Pakistani soldier clicking. There are selfies of Pakistani soldiers with the Taliban. Then you also have mosques in Islamabad waving the Taliban flag. So why don't you simply say that, look here, we are going to do business with Taliban. We really don't care of what the Taliban really wants to do on the ground, whether they kill people, they do not kill people. You know, let them go ahead with the mayhem. We don't want any democratic setup as it is. We don't really care. Why don't you simply say that?
Thank you. First of all, I want to say something about this area where it's located Pakistan, India and Afghanistan. अगर इस सारी रीजन के अंदर अगर हम देखें तो मसलसल अफगानिस्तान को लेकर जहाँ डिबेट हो रही है वहाँ पर कंट्रोवर्सी भी रही है और पिछले 5 डेकेड्स के अंदर से यहाँ पर अमन और अमान कायम नहीं हो सका और जो पीस की तलाश थी वो अमेरिका के आने के बावजूद नहीं हो सकी. हमें इस रियलिटी को बड़ा जानना चाहिए कि अब अगर अफगानिस्तान के अंदर एक मरतबा फिर तालिबान आ रहे हैं और पीस की उम्मीद वहाँ के लोगों ने या इस रीजन के लोगों ने लगाई है तो तालिबान को वो मौका जरूर देना चाहिए जिसके नतीजे में वहाँ पर पीस आ सकता है.
आपको लगता है तालिबान के रहते हुए पीस हो पाएगी?
तालिबान को मौका देना चाहिए. Major Gaurav Arya, I want you to come in. I want you to come in. You see what is really happening right now. You have Abid Abbasi says तालिबान को मौका देना चाहिए. Major Gaurav Arya, Taliban ko mauka dena chahiye. Now that's what the Pakistanis want. And tonight, what is very interesting, Major Gaurav Arya, almost every panelist today they've come out. They're saying we don't need any more shield. We'll openly support Taliban. I want you to respond, Major Gaurav Arya.
Abbasi साहब एक मिनट मैं जवाब दे दूं सर.
खासकर अफगानिस्तान के लोग हैं वहाँ के जो लोग जो चाहते हैं अगर वो किसी को भी सपोर्ट करते हैं तो वो वहाँ पर हुकूमत करे. इससे हरगिज़ मतलब ये नहीं है कि आप किसी एक को सपोर्ट करें. हम चाह रहे हैं
आबिद साहब समझ गया मैं आपकी बात. मैं बोल लूं सर. मैं जी बिल्कुल
जो खासकर इस वक्त काबल उनको मुश्किलात होंगी. मुझे बात से गरज नहीं है. मुझे जरूर गरज क्या है.
आबिद साहब आप सुन लीजिए पहले मेजर गौरव आर्य क्या कहना चाह रहे हैं. आप कह रहे हैं मौका देना चाहिए. क्या मौका देना चाहिए? मेजर गौरव आर्य, गो अहेड. व्हाट मौका इज ही रियली टॉकिंग अबाउट?
मैं बता दूं सर, आपकी बात रात तक कंप्लीट नहीं होगी सर. हम बैठे रहेंगे क्या यहाँ पे? छोटा बोलिए सर, ब्रीफ बोलिए. आप बहुत लंबा बोल रहे हैं. हुजूर छोटा बोलिए, आप ब्रीफ बोलिए. सबको बोलना है.
जो मारामारी जो लड़ाई इस रीजन के अंदर हो चुकी है अफगानिस्तान को लेकर वो क्या दुरुस्त है? वो उसको दुरुस्त तो नहीं करार दिया जा सकता।
अफगानिस्तान ठीक है सर, आबिद साहब,
वहाँ आने वाली हुकूमत जाने, लेकिन ह्यूमन राइट्स पर, वहाँ की ह्यूमन राइट्स वायलेशन पर किसी सूरत कंप्रोमाइज नहीं होना चाहिए। मेरा आपका ये है कि अफगानिस्तान के अंदर ह्यूमन राइट्स वायलेशन पर कंप्रोमाइज नहीं होना चाहिए।
जी बिल्कुल, ठीक है आबिद साहब, मैंने आपकी बात सुन ली। अब आपकी इजाजत हो तो मैं बोल लूं सर। मैं आपको ये बोलना चाहता हूं आबिद साहब कि अफगान क्या चाहते हैं, वो जो आपके बॉर्डर पे 5 लाख खड़े हैं वो बता देंगे वो क्या चाहते हैं। जो 50,000 काबुल इंटरनेशनल एयरपोर्ट पे खड़े हैं वो बता देंगे क्या चाहते हैं। जिनको तालिबान कोड़े मार रहा है, जिनकी खोपड़ियों में AK-47 की गोली उतार रहा है सर, वो बता देंगे उनको क्या चाहिए। तो अगर इतने ही बड़े रहम के फरिश्ते हैं अफगान तालिबान, तो पूरे जो अफगानिस्तान की कौम है वो मुल्क से भाग क्यों रही है? ये हवाई जहाजों से आसमान से गिर क्यों रहे हैं सर? ये अचानक भगदड़ क्यों मच गई? ऐसे तो कभी अफगान नहीं भागे थे अपना मुल्क छोड़ के। सर मैं पूरी बात कर लूं सर। सर एक मिनट सर, मैं 1 मिनट सर, आपकी इजाजत हो तो मैं बात कर लूं प्लीज, विथ योर परमिशन सर, अगर आपकी इजाजत हो। तो ये हमें देखना पड़ेगा कि सर ये हो क्या रहा है, पहली बात है। दूसरी चीज ये है कि अगर आप ये जानना चाहते हैं कि अफगानिस्तान के लोग समझते क्या हैं, तो तालिबान ने तो साफ मना कर दिया कि इलेक्शंस होंगे नहीं अफगानिस्तान में। फिर पता कैसे चलेगा सर कि अफगानिस्तान के लोग क्या चाहते हैं? किसी भी मुल्क में इलेक्शंस होते हैं, पर अफगान तालिबान ने तो इलेक्शन के लिए साफ मना कर दिया। सर बिल्कुल भाग गई। आपकी बात सुनिए, बिल्कुल आबिद साहब मेरी आखिरी बात सुन लीजिए, आखिरी बात। आप बिल्कुल ठीक कह रहे हैं, अमेरिका ने गलत करा, अमेरिका अचानक छोड़ के भाग गया, अमेरिका ने बहुत गलत काम करा जिसकी वजह से सब फसाद देखने को मिल रहे हैं। पर अगर अमेरिका गलत था, इसका मतलब ये नहीं कि तालिबान सही है। तालिबान उससे ज्यादा गलत है, क्योंकि तालिबान एक्चुअली लोगों को मार रहा है। ये देखिए भगदड़ आपकी स्क्रीन पे देखिए सर। अगर अमेरिका ने गलत करा तो तालिबान ने कैसे सही करा? और कैसे पता लगाएंगे कि उनकी उमंगें क्या हैं अफगान आवाम की? सर नहीं सर, आपने बोला ना कि आप
सपोर्ट नहीं कर रहे। हम ये कह रहे हैं कि रीजन के अंदर पीस आना चाहिए, और जिस कदर स्टेक होल्डर्स हैं, चाहे वो शुमाली इताद के लोग हैं,
मेजर गौरव आर्य, आप
रखने वाले ग्रुप्स हैं, उन सबको
आबिद आप कहते रहिए कि वायलेशंस आप कहते रहिए, you can keep whitewashing the misdeeds of Taliban. Hamid Khan, I just want to know who exactly is currently with Pakistan. I would like to read out a list of countries which have already said. Canada has declared it won't recognize Taliban. You have the European Union, which has declared its refusal to recognize the Taliban if it gains power militarily. On what basis is the Pakistan really coming to this conclusion that they're going to get some sort of a support just because they think that there is this anti-America axis that is suddenly propped up?
Shaban, I'm waiting for like 40 minutes. Give me 2-3 minutes, please. Thank you. First of all, you need to read the list of the countries who are already saying that they're going to accept a peaceful government of Taliban, and they are countries from the region, neighboring countries, Iran, China, Russia, Tajikistan, Pakistan. These are the countries that are more concerned within the region to accept the government or the new setup of Afghan Taliban if they do it peacefully. Secondly, I mean, for the last 10 days, we are just saying that Pakistan has betrayed, of America, and Pakistan is the one who supported Taliban, and now Taliban is in the power. I would like to tell you two things. One of the journalists asked the same question to the ex-president of United States, and he said, if Pakistan is supporting the Taliban and Taliban has taken over with the support of Pakistan, then let's admit that Pakistan is the new superpower of the world who has defeated NATO, America, and all the European Unions alone. And that is the fact. If you want to admit it, that Pakistan is the new superpower who has defeated all these big NATO and American giants in Afghanistan.
Okay, so the superpower.
Pakistan is the superpower.
Which president?
Hamid Khan, your superpower. I'm talking about the superpower. Hamid Khan, let me just read out. Let me read out some facts for you, Hamid Khan, and Major General Dhruv Katoch. I want him to also come in. Hamid Khan, this is your superpower. This is your superpower. Your foreign direct investment flows. Your Pakistan's economy currently is 39% year on. Hamid Khan, what superpower are you talking about? Decreasing FDI? Decreasing FDI, you're going with begging bowls right now. Major General Dhruv Katoch, it's laughable. It's laughable when Hamid Khan says that, okay, look here.
Please, I request you, give me 1 minute. Okay, one last thing. If you think that Pakistan is that much influenced and strong in the region, then be ready that Pakistan is not 1971's Pakistan. Pakistan is 2021 Pakistan, and Pakistan is the one who will defeat and who will beat India as well in coming days when it will be required.
Major General Dhruv Katoj, I really want you to come in because this myth, this bubble that perhaps Hamid Khan is living in, Major General Dhruv Katoj, they really think that they have become the superpower. Why? Because they feel that there is some sort of a beautiful understanding with the Taliban, shackles of slavery have been broken, etc., etc., and all these lovely words put out by Imran Khan. Suddenly, they think that they've become superpower when they don't have their FDI has been going down on year after year, 39%. No one wants to come and do business with Pakistan. You really have the gall today. You really have the gall tonight, Hamid Khan, to say that you are a superpower. You are a superpower. You have been. The only reason you're surviving is because China somewhere down the line. Major General Dhruv Katoj, because of the funding that comes in from China, the begging bowl that they go to China, and that is the reason why they're surviving. Major General Dhruv Katoj, go ahead. Respond to Hamid Khan.
I think, these arguments which have been given by Mr. Khan, I think they need to be refuted. Let us get a few things straight. Pakistan has been surviving on American and Western aid till date. And now they are going to survive on Chinese aid. By itself, Pakistan is not a state which can economically survive. That is one. What has really happened, and the Americans have admitted it, Pakistan has played a duplicitous game for the last 2 decades by taking American money to defeat the Taliban and then using the Taliban to gain power in Afghanistan. And everybody knew the game. Unfortunately, even the Americans knew the game, but they continue to play it. There is one factor which I want to put out, which I think is very interesting, and it goes back to 1990, when the then Pakistan Army Chief, General Aslam Beg, he made a statement on what his vision of a strategic depth for Pakistan was. And he made it very clear that in his vision of strategic depth, and these are documented statements, it includes the whole of Pakistan, it includes Afghanistan, it includes Iran, and it includes the Central Asian republics, all made together under Pakistani hegemony to create a larger Islamic emirate. Now, this was an official briefing which has been given by the Pakistan Army Chief, which they have been trying to do for the last 30 years. And now that first step, they have actually got control in Afghanistan. It is not so much the Taliban control, it is the Pakistani control, because as a professional military officer, I can tell you, the way the operation was conducted, it required professional planning. A ragtag organization like the Taliban is good for destruction. They can carry out bomb attacks. They cannot carry out a surgical operation the way it was conducted. They were not in a position to drive the military and political leaders. So that was one of the reasons why it failed. Now when you find the resistance developing, Pakistan will not be able to fight that resistance, and neither will Afghanistan, the Taliban in Afghanistan. It is going to be a different ball game, but it is going to take quite a few years from now to play out. I think Pakistan is playing, in my personal view, a very dangerous game. You please read the articles which are coming out by the intellectual and strategic community within Pakistan. They are very concerned because if Pakistan is supporting the Taliban government in Afghanistan,
right,
and Tehreek-e-Taliban Pakistan doing the same in Pakistan, and Pakistan will be converted into an Islamic emirate.
Well,
now if that happens,
that's exactly what Major General Dhruv Katoj, I was also pointing out. While they may be, while the Pakistanis on the one hand seem to be very triumphant, thinking that they won the war, but unfortunately, they can keep living in their bubble, thinking that they've become a superpower, being in bed with the Taliban. Thank you very much, Sardar R.P. Singh, Major Gaurav Varia, Major General Dhruv Katoj, Abdul Samad Yaqub, Abid Abbasi, as well as Hamid Khan for joining us on this broadcast.